The war in the Middle East is set to be on the agenda for G7 foreign ministers as they gather today in France. The group assembled for their, quote, family photo this morning. Canada's Foreign Minister Anita Anand is there, along with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The meeting is taking place just outside Paris, and Willie Lowry is there covering it for us. Willie, good morning. We mentioned the war is a major talking point, of course. Marco Rubio trying to sell the other G7 countries on the American strategy. What's he saying?
Good morning, Susan. Well, the war in Iran will absolutely be the focal point of today's meeting. This is actually Secretary of State Marco Rubio's first trip abroad since the U.S. launched those initial strikes against Iran back on February 28th, now nearly 1 month ago. And it comes at a really critical time. The price of oil is spiking, rising to above $100 a barrel at certain points. And the price of gas back in the U.S. also rising quickly. And that is something that the Trump administration is keenly aware of. And they've really been expressing a great deal of frustration with allies over their reluctance to get involved in this conflict, over their reluctance to seemingly help try to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, of course, that critical waterway just off the coast of Iran where so much of the world's oil passes through. Let's hear a little bit of what Secretary of State Rubio had to say just before boarding the plane over to France.
It can be open tomorrow if Iran stops threatening global shipping, which is an outrage and a violation of international law for all these countries that care about international law. They should be doing something about it. It's not help for us. Like I said, very little of our energy comes through the Straits of Hormuz. It's the world that has a great interest in that. And so they should step up and deal with it.
Rubio also brushing aside any concern that there might be awkwardness or a frosty reception, saying that he has good relations with all of his colleagues here and that they, quite frankly, should be happy that he is here at all.
That's setting up for a very interesting meeting, Willie. We're hearing from other leaders as well, specifically from the United Kingdom. What's been the response from them so far before this session?
Well, there has been, as I mentioned, Susan, a lot of reluctance. We have to remember, of course, that the U.S. started this war unilaterally. It did not consult its traditional allies among the G7 and, of course, in NATO. So there's a feeling here that this is very much a problem caused by the U.S., and there is a reluctance to get involved, certainly offensively. But as the Strait of Hormuz continues to be such a problematic kind of part of the equation, there is beginning to be more and more conversation into how they perhaps could start to help trying to alleviate the situation. We heard a little earlier from the UK foreign minister on the subject. Let's take a brief listen to some of what she had to say.
What we need is a partnership, including the diplomacy, including some of the discussions that we will have today, because frankly, Iran cannot be able to just hold the global economy hostage as a result of a strait which is about international shipping routes and a freedom of navigation that has been so strongly supported at the United Nations, but also by countries across the world. Thank you very much.
Clearly, the Strait of Hormuz, the war in Iran, the kind of subject du jour here at the G7. It also comes as the Trump administration is in indirect talks with Iran, trying to perhaps find a solution to this conflict, a solution to the issue with the Strait of Hormuz. That is something that Secretary Rubio will likely brief his allies on.
Well, Willie, it looks like a lovely day there in France outside Paris, but maybe some stormy weather in the meetings. Thank you so much for your update.